I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Wednesday. $710 KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show where you hear both sides. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk with Dr. Abby Johnson. She's one of the most influential pro-life leaders in America. In fact, they made a whole movie about her life, which was awesome. She'll be joining us to talk about a great event coming up, the Last Stand Festival. June 5th and 6th here in Denver, Colorado. Listen to some of these folks. Seth Gruber, Allie Beth Stuckey, Victor Marks, Tim Barton, Dr. Abby Johnson, Steve Deese, Jeff Schwarzentraub, and many, many others. It's going to be a great gathering for conservative, freedom-minded people. June 5th and 6th. Denver, Colorado. TheLastStand.com is the website. TheLastStand.com. We'll get to Dr. Abby Johnson here in a moment. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, and that could only mean one thing. 2 days away from Friday. 47 with some clouds and a chance of showers again in Denver. 45 in the Springs, expecting highs in the lower 60s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story.
National Fentanyl Awareness Day started in 2022. It was a few years back by families who had lost a loved one to a drug overdose. And the goal for them and for me is to share this message with folks so that it doesn't happen to you.
Dave Oleski, DEA, Rocky Mountain Division, on with the fellas last hour. Very important day today. Get the word out. National Fentanyl Awareness Day. Nobody thinks it'll happen to them.
Well, you know, I wouldn't, my family wouldn't do this or my drugs, but we still end up seeing, last year, you mentioned it, Jeff, 1,800 Coloradans died from a drug-related overdose, the majority of those being fentanyl. Sadly, in Colorado, that is a 10% increase year over year, while the national trends came out showing between a 17 and 18% decline around the nation. It's still happening here, way more than it should.
Spread the word. Last night, Aurora police say a man shot and killed his younger brother during an argument in the 1800 block of South Fairplace Street. The man is in custody and in his 30s. His brother was in his late 20s and armed himself with a knife before the shooting. Officers detained the older brother without incident. When they arrived, the investigation is underway. Interest rates are expected to be left unchanged by the Fed after its meeting today. The central bank is still seeing inflation above its 2% target alongside a weak labor market. It will likely be Jerome Powell's last meeting as Fed chair. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is on Capitol Hill this morning to testify before the House. Hegseth is joined by Joint Chiefs Chair General Dan Kane at the hearing with the House Armed Services Committee. The hearing concerns the Department of Defense 2027 budget request, but with a major focus on the war with Iran as well.
The biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless, feckless, and defeatist words of congressional Democrats and some Republicans.
In his opening statement, Hegseth said there's been incredible success to make sure Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon, and he's proud of everything they've accomplished. Arguments over President Trump's plan to scale back legal protections for non-citizens will be heard by the Supreme Court today. The temporary protected status program was started in 1990 to allow foreigners into the U.S. who can't safely return to their own countries because of war, natural disaster, or other extreme circumstances. Currently, 17 nations are on the list. Former FBI Director James Comey, Mr. 8647, has been indicted once again by the DOJ, this time for allegedly, knowingly making a threat to kill the President of the United States. Don't hold your breath. Nothing's going to happen to this clown. A city in Orange County, California, is the first in the nation to name a street after Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk Way is now the official name of a street in Westminster near the intersection of Westminster Boulevard and All-American Way. Mayor Charlie Nguyen says he's proud of the dedication to Kirk, the late conservative activist and podcaster who was shot to death last September during a Turning Point USA event at Utah Valley University. I'm Daniel Martindale.
All right, like to hear that always. All right, is this correct, Billy? I saw this soccer score at we're talking about the highest level of 9-7. Is that right, or what happened?
Oh, I didn't see. I saw it was 5-4 was the one. Champions League.
Okay.
Yeah, there were 9 goals yesterday between.
9 goals.
Yeah, between Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. This is the semifinals of the Champions League, and I'll keep it short because we've got Dr. Johnson sitting behind us.
Okay.
Basically, these are two of the best in Europe, and they're trying to get to the finals of what is considered the European Super Bowl. And the easiest way to describe it is 5 goals in the first half, 4 in the second. If you've seen that professional slap fight, that's what it was. It was 2 guys standing there just going, pow, right in the face. And the guy going, oh, yeah? Pow, right back in the face. Oh, yeah? Pow, right back in the face.
That is wild.
Yes, and nobody wanted to play any defense. And it was fantastic. I think the best comment the entire day was when the guy doing play-by-play goes, oh, Joshua Kimmich with what I was going to describe that as an irresponsible pass, but this entire game is wonderfully irresponsible, and it's fantastic and so much fun to watch. I hope they keep doing this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is the perfect encapsulation of yesterday. It was glorious. Yeah, it was glorious.
In the accent, too. I can hear that.
Yep, in the accent. It was fantastic.
That's great. Thank you very much. 45 in the Springs, 47 in Denver, and that's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer in the Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Temperatures along the Front Range will be a little bit warmer today, but we're still looking at some chances of developing showers and a few thunderstorms this afternoon as a small Pacific wave comes through. Temperatures for Denver and Colorado Springs will be upper 50s and lower 60s, and some showers and evening thunderstorms will linger into tonight. Lows mid to upper 30s. Be ready for a period of cool, damp weather Thursday night, and into the day Friday as a push of cool, moist air upsloping into the I-25 corridor in eastern Colorado Plains will lead to some needed precipitation. For the I-25 corridor and adjacent plains between Thursday through late Friday and overnight Thursday into Friday morning. Some of that could be snow, especially up on the Palmer Divide between Denver and Colorado Springs. Travelers keep that in mind, along with areas of fog, as highs will only be 45 to 50 Thursday, low to mid-30s Thursday night, and only 50s Friday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
$710 KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460 FM 101.1 The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All all along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show. We get both sides. You all know that Colorado is one of the most radically pro-choice states in the nation. Not only do we have abortion at all times for whatever reason, whenever you want, we are going to force taxpayers to pay for it. We are going to now require abortion pills in pretty much every college out there. Even private colleges have to carry abortion pills. And there's so many abortion clinics in Colorado that the state doesn't even know how many there are. When asked at one point how many abortion clinics are out there, they had to go to Google Maps. So there's almost no oversight whatsoever. And in light of all of this, there's a great organization that's going to be hosting an event June 5th and 6th, Brave Church, Inglewood, Colorado, The Last Stand. And it includes really the who's who of the pro-life movement. Seth Gruber, Allie Beth Stuckey, Victor Marks, Dr. Frank Turek, Rob McCoy, and you know her name, Dr. Abby Johnson. She's so influential, they actually made a movie about her life in the pro-life movement. She joins us on the Jeff and Bill Show. It's a real honor, Dr. Johnson. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, good morning.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So you're coming to Colorado. What's the hope? I mean, what do you think we can do in this state? We're so radically pro-choice at this point. How do we make an impact?
You know, it's funny you said that actually, because I just AI, whatever, chat GPT'd how many abortion clinics are in Colorado. It said 20 to 22. Even Chat GPT doesn't know exactly how many abortion clinics are in Colorado. So you're right. Can't get a solid number on that. You know, I think the hope is that we are really just trying to reach people who are considering abortion. I don't know right now if there is a lot of legislative hope in Colorado at this moment. That doesn't mean that there's not ever going to be. Certainly, we continue to push bills that are providing equal protection, because even as we push bills, we are educating people. And education is a huge part of the law. I mean, that's one of the core principles of the law, is to be a teacher. And so we still push these bills forward, even though we, you know, without God's divine intervention, we don't believe that they're going to get, you know, through committee and actually to the floor. But every time we push legislation, we are educating. We are being teachers. And but I think right now in Colorado, minds are being changed, and we see that all the time. I run a ministry to help abortion clinic workers leave the industry, and I have to tell you, we have had considerable success in Colorado with abortion clinic workers, seeing what's really happening at these facilities, seeing what's going on, seeing that they have abortion quotas, a certain number of abortions they're having to sell at Planned Parenthood Rocky Mountains and other facilities in Colorado. And they are disgusted, and they're leaving, and they're speaking out. People are changing their minds, and that is really the goal for Colorado right now.
It's Dr. Abby Johnson joining us. They made a movie about her life, Unplanned. It's a fantastic film. I strongly recommend people go see it. But it's a compelling story. She previously worked at Planned Parenthood as a clinic director and is now one of the leading voices for life in America. Abby, help folks understand what changed in your life, because that could be a good and important pathway for us reaching folks here in Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was quite some years ago. I had worked for Planned Parenthood for 8 years. I was an abortion clinic director there, as you said. And I know it sounds strange, it sounds crazy, but one day I was asked to participate in an ultrasound-guided abortion. Ultrasounds are used in abortions, but they are only used at the very beginning. And we use the ultrasound to determine how far along the woman was in her pregnancy so that we would know how much to charge her for an abortion. And then the ultrasound was rolled away. So the woman did not get to see her ultrasound. She did not get to see her child on the ultrasound. We intentionally moved the screen away from her so that she would not be able to see her child. And we had a visiting physician come in, and he wanted to show us what an ultrasound-guided abortion looked like. Abortions are usually done in a blind manner. The doctor has instrumentation. He just blindly pokes around inside the woman's uterus until he has enough blood and tissue suctioned into a glass jar. And so that was the only way I knew abortions to be done. But on this day with this visiting physician, I was called in to assist during this ultrasound-guided abortion. I did the ultrasound. The baby was 13 weeks along. Everything on a child at 13 weeks is completely formed: arms, legs, fingers, toes, eyes, ears. Every internal organ that we sit here with today is fully formed on a 13-week baby: little tiny kidneys, liver, heart, brain. And I'm looking at the ultrasound, and I'm seeing the profile of this baby's face. I can see his heart beating. And it was the first time, I mean, this is the crazy part. I know I've been there for so long, but it was the first time that I was face to face with the humanity of this child, this fetus, whatever we wanted to call it. I was face to face with the humanity of this person that was going to die. And I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know what I was going to be looking at. I didn't know what I was going to be seeing. And I watched truly in shock and horror as this 13-week-old baby fought and struggled for his life against the abortion instruments. And I watched him be torn apart in his mother's womb, and I did nothing. I was completely in shock, and I knew then that I had not watched choice. That was not healthcare. Healthcare is to heal, not to kill. And I just knew then that I had watched a murder take place, and I knew I could never participate in that again. I left Planned Parenthood quietly. I never intended to tell my story, but when Planned Parenthood found out that I no longer supported them and what they were doing, they took me to court with the intention of getting a permanent gag order against me, and that alerted the media. Like, what does this former director know that you don't want everyone else to know? Why are you trying to silence her? And that is what propelled me. I always say nobody would know the name Abby Johnson if it wasn't for Planned Parenthood's terrible media department and God. And so here I am. I've been sharing my story ever since, and I've been trying to help people heal from the wounds of abortion.
It's Dr. Abby Johnson, her life detailed in the movie Unplanned. I strongly recommend people go see it. She's part of an incredible lineup of conservative leaders that are going to be in Colorado June 5th and 6th at Brave Church, Inglewood, Colorado. The website, thelaststand.com, thelaststand.com. She joins Seth Gruber, Allie Beth Stuckey, Victor Marks, Dr. Frank Turek, Rob McCoy, and many, many others that are going to be gathering to try to help Colorado, because it's constant in the state. U.S. Supreme Court case after U.S. Supreme Court case, radically pro-choice, very progressive state. They're trying to bring values, freedom, liberty back to the state of Colorado. We're so very grateful you're going to be coming to the state. Now, I do want to ask you, did you get a chance to see Brandon Gill's questioning of the abortion provider just the other day, asking her, what's your favorite procedure? And then details out the procedure. And you could almost watch her. She almost couldn't stomach what Representative Brandon Gill was describing were the abortion procedures, all while advocating how important abortion is. Tell me about that dynamic and what you saw there in that interaction.
Yeah, I thought Congressman Gill did just a beautiful job of putting her on the spot and making her feel uncomfortable and making her listen to what an abortion actually is. But, you know, I mean, I can tell you what their favorite type of abortion is, and it is a chemical abortion, which he didn't describe. And chemical abortion is taking place in every single state, as you described. Mail order abortion is flooding into all 50 states. Chemical abortion is done by a series of pills. It requires no doctor, no follow-up, no human being actually I recently went through this process just to test what was taking place as women were going online and seeking these pills. I never talked to a human being. The whole process was done through autoresponder emails. I got the pills for free. I never had to pay for them. I got enough pills sent to my house in Texas, where abortion is supposedly illegal. I got enough pills sent to my house for free for 4 abortions. They never checked my ID. They never checked my date of birth. They never verified that I was a woman. They never verified that I was pregnant at all. They never verified how far along I was in my pregnancy. I could have been a 13-year-old girl. I could have been a man trying to slip these pills into my girlfriend's drink unknowingly to kill my child. I could have been a victim of sex trafficking. I mean, there's no verification at all. I could have had an ectopic pregnancy. And if a woman takes these pills and she has an ectopic pregnancy, she is sure to have severe complications up to death. This is the irresponsibility of the pro-woman, pro-choice movement. They are putting women in grave danger, and that is their favorite abortion because it is so incredibly accessible. They do not care about danger to women, and it's happening in about 70% of abortion cases right now. It is cheap, it is fast, and it is incredibly dangerous.
That's Dr. Abby Johnson joining us. Dr. Johnson, you're part of leading the MAMA movement, Make Abortion Murder Again, and you're just talking about the accessibility of these pills. Do you think the Trump administration's doing enough to address this? Would you like to see more done?
Oh my gosh, they're doing nothing to address it. In fact, these chemical abortion pills were made accessible through the Biden administration, and twice the Trump administration has had the opportunity to rein them back in and to say, we are not going to allow this to continue in our country. And twice he has said, we are not going to do anything to stop the distribution of these pills. Also, it was Trump's FDA who allowed the generic distribution of these RU46 pills, these chemical abortion pills. He green-lighted that through. The Trump administration has done nothing but expand the access to these chemical abortion pills, which are significantly more dangerous than surgical abortion. So absolutely, the Trump administration is setting up women for dangerous abortions. I mean, I don't want any abortion, but he has laid the groundwork for the expansion of abortion in our country.
What would be the proper response in your mind? Does it need to be a congressional response that we need to ban abortion pills entirely? I mean, or does the FDA need to do more there? What would be a good response from the Trump administration, Republicans right now, in your mind?
I mean, in my mind, I think that this is a constitutional issue. I think that we need to enforce the 14th Amendment that grants personhood to all persons, including persons in the womb. It's kind of a no-brainer to me. I don't understand why we're not moving in that direction. I don't understand why the Trump administration is not moving in that direction. I think the Trump administration promised the pro-life movement one thing, and that was to overturn Roe. He put people in place to do that. Those justices have been greatly disappointing in every other way. They did one thing right, and then they have failed us time and time again. I don't know that overturning Roe was the success that the pro-life movement thought it was going to be. Abortions are up all across the country. Late-term abortion is at a historic high. I don't know that that was the win that the pro-life movement thought it was going to be. I haven't seen any wins. We now have about a dozen states that have ratified their state constitutions to allow abortion up until all 40 weeks of pregnancy. We did not have that before the overturning of Roe. I think the pro-life movement was grossly unprepared for what was going to happen when Roe was overturned. The pro-abortion movement was not unprepared. They were absolutely ready. They were ready to drop these ballot initiatives the day after Roe was overturned. They are always ready. They are always a step ahead of us. And so I think that we really need to start listening to people that have worked inside of these abortion clinics, that have left, people that know the inside strategy of the abortion industry. We need to stop listening to politicians who clearly do not know what the abortion industry is up to. We need to start listening to the insiders. We need to start listening to women who have had abortions, who understand the pain of abortion. And we need to start getting the job done, because we are not getting it done right now. We're not getting it done in politics. We are not getting it done in the law. And honestly, we're not really getting it done culturally. And we need to be listening to the people that have been harmed the most.
And that's why this event, The Last Stand, is so very important. We're talking to Dr. Abby Johnson. She's part of an incredible lineup. Seth Gruber, Allie Beth Stuckey, Victor Marks, Dr. Frank Turek, Tim Barton, Rob McCoy, and Dr. Abby Johnson, bringing those values to Colorado. I'm going to turn it over to my co-host Bill for a question.
Yeah, and that's going to be June 5th and 6th. Inglewood Church, Brave Church, is where that's going to be happening, and they do offer special discounts for groups. So do check out thelaststand.com, thelaststand.com, to make sure that you do not miss out on your receipts for this special event. Now, Dr. Johnson, I appreciate your time this morning. I want to go into kind of a different intellectual exercise. You talked about the idea of granting personhood to people that are still in the womb. What are some of the, I don't know, what I'm looking at is the consequences or fallout from that. I can see the reason as to why, but then what do we do with both the contraception and the IVF industry? If we claim that those people are persons, what do we do with all of those embryos that are in the IVF clinics? And does it then also make contraception technically illegal or even a form of death?
Yeah, so the IVF issue is, I mean, to me, it's not complicated, because I'm wholeheartedly against IVF. I'm against surrogacy. I think IVF is against God's law. I think it's against natural law. And we have all of these babies sitting in cryo storage, which they shouldn't have been created at all. So I think, all of that is something that needs to be looked at. Unfortunately, we have a federal administration that is pushing IVF, that is funding IVF. And so I think we all need to take a step back and say, what are we doing here? Is this really what we want to do? People do not have a right to be parents. We do not have the right to circumvent natural law in order for us to be parents. And so we do not have the right to create children in any means necessary in order for us to be a mom or dad. And I believe that many of us were saying this at the very beginning. Look at what is going to happen. If we start doing this, there is going to be a slippery slope. And look at where the slippery slope has taken us. Now we have all of these homosexual couples adopting children, using surrogates to bring children into homosexual families. We know that the most dangerous person to a child is an unrelated male in the home. In a homosexual male family, you have two unrelated males in the home. So this is causing problems. We see that all around the country. So, I think that the best thing that we can do for these children in cryo storage is to simply let them die and to let natural law take its course, and not create any more. We do not need to be creating any more. I know that there are some people that are adopting these embryos. They're having them placed into their womb and giving them life, and that's up for debate. What is morally correct and what's not? But we absolutely, one thing that I think most pro-lifers can agree on is that we absolutely do not need to be creating any more. And so, yeah, I think that's a huge issue. Contraception, I think that's also a problem. I don't think our war right now is with contraception. I think our war right now is with abortion. But I do think that contraception creates a moral problem. If we believe that life begins at conception, there is absolutely a possibility that children that are created in the womb can be aborted through abortifacient contraception. So I think that is an issue, but I think right now we have a war to fight, and that is against abortion.
That's Dr. Abby Johnson. She'll be joining an incredible lineup at The Last Stand Festival. Go to thelaststand.com, thelaststand.com, June 5th and 6th. Brave Church, Inglewood, Colorado. She joins Seth Gruber, Allie Beth Stuckey, Victor Marks, Dr. Frank Turek, Rob McCoy. And this is such a critical moment in Colorado to bring these voices here. We're so grateful you'll be joining us in June. Thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show this morning.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can learn more at thelaststand.com, thelaststand.com. All right, coming up next, we're going to get an update on Tina Peters, some movement happening. We're going to talk directly with her attorney, John Case. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We're The Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you get both sides. Headlined from our friends at the Rocky Mountain Voice, Judge Barrett refuses to step aside in Peter's case, defends his sentencing math. If you remember, Judge Matthew Barrett faced quite a rebuttal, I would say a slapdown from the Colorado Court of Appeals, claiming that his sentence determination, the length of Tina Peters' sentence, being rooted in free speech issues is a violation of her free speech rights. And joining us now to give us some insight into what's going on with Tina Peters' case is her attorney himself, John Case. John, honored to have you with us this morning. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for taking time for us.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff and Bill, and thanks to your listeners for following Tina's case.
Absolutely. Give us some insight on what this latest back and forth with Judge Matthew Barrett's all about.
Well, we filed a motion to, perhaps you're not familiar with this, but anyway, in our appeal, we asked the Court of Appeals to, when they remanded the case, to order that it be heard by a different judge. And they said, you need to file a motion to disqualify the judge first in Mesa County before we will do that. So we filed a motion to disqualify Judge Barrett in Mesa County, and we spelled out the factual and legal reasons why he should disqualify himself. In Colorado, you have to address a motion to disqualify to the judge himself, and then he or she rules on whether he or she should be disqualified. And Judge Barrett ruled that he would not disqualify himself because he said there's no evidence that he's not impartial. We thought.
Did you laugh out loud when you saw that? Because I think you got an entire 9-month case to show otherwise.
Well, I didn't laugh out loud. I read the order carefully, and the law on recusing a judge is very clear in Colorado. If the motion and the affidavits that support the motion show that the judge is not impartial, then he must disqualify himself. And in our case, we had two affidavits, one from my co-counsel at trial, Mike Administer, and another from Reverend Robert Babcox, who's the pastor of a local church in Grand Junction, both of whom were at the sentencing hearing. And Pastor Bob is an interesting person because he believes that Tina is guilty, and he sat on the right side of the room with the press corps and all of the DA supporters at the sentencing hearing, and he went just to see if Tina was going to get justice. And he was, so he was for a sentence. He thought she should be punished. But when he left the courtroom, he was stunned by the judge's lack of impartiality. So, and he's been to many sentencing hearings because he's the chaplain for the Colorado State Patrol, which sometimes state patrolmen are the victims of crimes, and he attends those sentencing hearings with victims. And also, if there's a defendant who asks for spiritual support during a sentencing hearing, he will attend, and sometimes he just attends out of community interest. So he's been to many sentencings, and he said he never in his life had seen something like this, what happened to Tina.
I mean, I got questions, and we're talking with John Case, who's Tina Peters' attorney. Why Judge Matthew Barrett wants to continue to be the center of this thing? I mean, are there no other judges in Mesa County at this point? And if you wanted to have a impartial career as a judge, why wouldn't you stay away from this? Why is he demanding to continue to be at the center of this?
Well, I don't know what his motives might be, but I've often thought that if I were the judge in this case, I would and I had a chance to punt it over to somebody else, I would certainly do that. But he chose not to. Now, the interesting law that applies is that if a judge acquires knowledge outside of the case and uses that knowledge to make a ruling that's important in the case, then he must disqualify himself because he got the information from what's called an extrajudicial source. It wasn't in the evidence. It wasn't in the case. So in this case, Judge Barrett at sentencing said that Tina Peters was guilty of lies and peddling snake oil and junk, and that every time it gets refuted, another tale is told. So he personally had the opinion that when she criticized the voting system, she was lying. And lying has a very precise meaning in the law. It means that you know something is false and you say it anyway. That's a lie. You know it's false and you say it anyway. So he was saying that Tina Peters knew that what she was saying about the voting system was false and that she was putting out this misinformation anyway. And that's why he sentenced her to prison, because those lies were dangerous to our community.
Now, John Case, lawyer for Tina Peters, the judge is saying that the extrajudicial information that you're talking about only pertains to trial. That extrajudicial information, like you're outlining, always comes into play at the sentencing. In fact, that's why you have victim statements and the like. So that is the time during sentencing in which all of that extra information is taken under consideration. It's not for the guilt or innocence, but in sentencing. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I disagree with the way you said it, because certainly evidence that's not at trial can be produced at sentencing. You're correct about that. But the point is that whether it's sentencing or trial or whatever phase of the proceeding you're in, the judge can't make rulings based on outside evidence, stuff that's produced, that information that came to him outside the courtroom. And there has never been a shred of evidence, nothing, to show that Tina Peters thought that she was lying, that she wasn't telling the truth when she criticized the voting system. Her belief is that those systems are susceptible to foreign manipulation and that they should be banned from being used in Colorado. She has never changed her position on that. And for him to say that she's lying when she criticizes the voting system is completely off base. There's never been a shred of evidence that Tina thought that was false, that what she was saying wasn't true.
Now, John Case,
for that reason, go ahead.
John Case, attorney for Tina Peters, we're just running up against time, and I want to make sure we cover enough things here. Part of the challenge, the core to the challenge against Judge Barrett is that he utilized Tina Peters' free speech in determining the length of sentence. Talk to me about his response regarding the length of sentence, the consecutive versus concurrent, single episodes. Give our listeners some insight into that battle taking place with the judge right now.
Sure. Normally, even with a defendant who's been in court before, when there are several charges arising out of the same course of conduct. In other words, a person robs a bank and there may be 3 victims that he robs at the bank, but it's a single criminal episode. So in a case like that, normally the sentences are imposed concurrently. But in Tina's case, Judge Barrett chose to impose the sentences consecutively. So a sentence in the mid-range, 3.5 years, she'd be out by now if she only had that sentence, if you include good time. But because the sentences were made consecutive, she has to serve 8 3/4 years, 8 years and 9 months.
So you all have to. You've sent this back, and from what I understand in this article in Rocky Mountain Voice, this judge has 48 hours to respond to you guys. Will we know? Will he adjust the sentencing? Could we know in the next 48 hours if Tina Peters is going to be out?
Well, I think you're referring to the motion for bond pending appeal.
Yeah.
We've announced that we intend to appeal the Court of Appeals decision to the Colorado Supreme Court.
Okay.
And that while that appeal is pending, she should be released on bond. And we filed a motion to get out on bond. The law is that if the trial court doesn't rule on that motion within 48 hours, you can go back to the appellate court and ask them to rule on the bond. But the Court of Appeals already told us, because we tried that twice before in the Court of Appeals, and they already said, don't come to us with a motion for bond, file it in the trial court. So we did. But we filed it a week ago today, and he still hasn't ruled on the motion for bond.
That same judge, Judge Matthew Barrett, hasn't ruled on that. So
yes.
you have before him a determination on whether or not Tina Peters can be out on bond, and a determination as to whether or not he should recuse himself, and a determination as to whether or not the sentence is excessive. All of those are before this same judge right now.
No, there's no active motion about whether the sentence was excessive. That was part of the basis of our motion to disqualify.
So when would we possibly hear with regards to getting Tina Peters out? Is there anything new this week, or do you think this train will just continue to move on weeks, months from now? Is there a chance we could see her out here soon?
Well, that's what we pray for every day, and what Tina prays for, and what a lot of your listeners pray for. So I'm hoping it'll happen. If we don't get a ruling from the trial court, then we have to go to the next level of appellate courts.
It is complicated. It's a lot going on. And when you consider how hard the state is working to keep her in jail versus violent criminals that are constantly given PR bonds, let out on half their time, all this stuff that takes place with violent criminals, just consider that with how they're treating Tina Peters and how hard attorneys like John Case are to even getting her out on bond. To me, it sends a very clear message that she's a political prisoner at this point. John Case, I sure appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. And if your listeners would go to tinapeters.us, that's tinapeters.us, they can get the latest information and support Tina's efforts.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. That's John Case. All right, let's talk advanced hair restoration. Guys, if you're losing your hair, you need a simple solution that works. You want the best modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need Dr. Tanya Pauls. Her team at Advanced Hair have completely redefined hair restoration. From the experience itself to their unmatched results, you got a receding hairline or bald spot, thinning hair, well, address them all with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment with the most experienced professionals. Advanced Hair has performed tens of thousands of these breakthrough treatments. And get this, your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day. No one in Denver can offer anything like the advanced FUE found at Advanced Hair. I highly recommend their team. It starts with your free consultation. Call 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Refine your hairline with the team that's redefined hair restoration. Give them a call, 720-459-HAIR, or visit advancedhair.com, advancedhair.com. More of the Jeff and Bill Show to come. You're listening to us on 710 KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides, the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show where you get both sides. Joining us live in studio, Peter Boyles is going to preview. You got a big guest coming up on Saturday.
It is the get, as people call it in our business. If you listen around a dial, nobody seems to access Victor Marx, except for maybe it's the studio. It's a lucky place. So he has told us he will be in here at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Right.
And I've been doing a lot of show prepping, a lot of reading, what's true, what's not true. And I'm sincerely looking forward to meeting him and trying to put out a good...
Is he asking you to send questions ahead of time?
No.
Nope. Show up.
Oh.
Let's go at it.
Yeah, and he's going to... He said he's headed to I have not talked to him.
Anything off limits?
Hasn't said a word. Not that anything I know, but they're dealing through Adam, not through me.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
What do you want to dive into?
Oh, it's one of those jump ball things. Let's see where it goes. As I've said many, many times, talk radio, no man its master. Let's see where it kicks off. Let's see where it goes. What do you want to talk about? What you don't want to talk about? I don't know. It will take on its own life when it starts.
Well, give me your read of him now, without talking to him, as you've done this research.
Yeah.
Do you think he exaggerates? Do you think he is the real deal? Where does he land in your book?
I have a hard time struggling with the martial arts stuff. Nobody does that. I mean, it just isn't done. The stuff about, he was talking on one of these tapes I was listening to that he went into a land, a country, a place called Palestinian occupied territory. And I've been there, and I don't know what country that is. I don't know what Palestinian occupied territory. Perhaps it's a misnomer. He calls it something else. He claims to have been in a firefight in Iraq. I want to see that. How did that come down? Everything that happened in Haiti. We lived in Haiti after the quake. We've talked about it. Kenny Danon and myself, and I have first-hand knowledge of what Haiti was like. Now, I don't know when he was there.
Well, this is Peter Boyles. He's going to be hosting Victor Marx this Saturday, 9 to 1, 710 KNUS. This is going to be a conversation everybody's going to be tuning into. You don't want to miss it. Hey, look, politics is the art of winning people over. Victor coming in. Going to see. Let's see. Can he win Peter Boyles over? We'll get to all of this and more. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks to everybody that joined us today. You've been listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And The Answer in Colorado Springs. It's hump day. Oh, you'll make it.